All right. Hello, everyone. I apologize if the audio is not fixed on my end. If I sound too loud, just tone me down with the volume. Still got to configure this gimmick that we're using here. I haven't used it since last year's Christmas show, so I apologize if my audio sounds too loud. But, that's what the volume button's for. Um, I have Breech here, and we're going to talk about basically what to do with the WWE Championship. And I don't know. I think we'll just kind of wing it, have some fun with it. And I mean, there's a lot of ways that they can go with this. It's finally at the point, Breach, where these guys, and by these guys I mean WWE, they have a lot of people hurt. They have a lot of people waiting for an opportunity to show that they can do more than what they're, being used as right now. Cesaro. So I don't know, Breach. You broke the news to me this morning. I think it was this morning. I don't know, afternoon. I didn't even know about the news. So I was just kind of like, okay, 6 to 9 months. Well, he's out of Mania. That's the first thing that came to my mind.
Same thing I was thinking with the Orton thing, and then I was surprised. I thought that they would not do a tournament. I thought they would just sort of do a replay on the Fatal 4-Way from Raw last weekend. But I think the Raw thing opens up a lot of opportunities that they could do, crowning a new champion. I think Pinko, our buddy, said it best when he said WWE has a clean slate, that they can really do almost anything that they want right now, and it really could help out the direction the company's going in right now.
You know what I like about this situation? And first of all, I feel terrible about Rollins because he's one of my favorites. He's when I still count Daniel Bryan until he officially retires. Daniel Bryan is still my favorite, but Seth Rollins is my second favorite. And has he been booked as a shitty champion? Of course, I will not come on here and lie to you, but at the end of the day, he was a WWE champion. He worked so hard to get it, and now to kind of like have his body betray him and have his title reign end like this just kind of sucks. So that is shitty. But for the people that are in line waiting for just a chance to, even if they're not going to win the championship, just to kind of show that when given the opportunity to do something, notable on the pay-per-view, coming up on Survivor Series, this is coming at a time where it's during football season. It's, I guess, the quote unquote downtime in WWE season. If this happened around February, like weeks before Mania, they would not even be remotely thinking about, oh well, which guys can get a rub. They just got to be focused on, all right, let's get the big guys, to make them important, keep them important going towards Mania. But right now, my point is they have a chance if they want to test the waters. What happens when we put a guy like Cesaro? What happens when we put a guy like Kevin Owens in the main event picture, whether he's champion or challenging for the championship? Because we got TLC and we got the Royal Rumble coming up. But from TLC up to the Royal Rumble, who knows? Maybe they can have some title matches on Raw. Just it's a good time for this to happen if it was going to happen for these guys, because if it happened during Mania or during the summer, leading up to SummerSlam, then yeah, these guys probably will not be even getting a prayer's chance of getting a legit shot at this tournament. But I mean, have they said officially if it's going to be an 8-man or 16-man tournament?
They haven't said anything about the number of people. They just said that that's what they're going to do to figure it out.
Okay, so then what we'll do, we'll pretend it's an 8-man tournament, just because it is going to be a 3-hour pay-per-view, and they will have a Divas match, they'll have a tag team titles match, they'll have other matches that should fill up time with a 8-man tournament. I can't imagine them doing a 16-man tournament, but all right, just off the top of your head, Breach, if you're going to put 8 guys in here from the current roster, no NXT guys, because we don't want to go too much maybe later we'll have fun and say if you could pick one surprise guy to call up for a one night, call up, or if that's gonna be his debut, we'll do that later. But for right now, just the guys on Raw, the guys on SmackDown, whatever. There's no brand extension anymore. Which 8 guys are you putting in there? You don't have to put the matchups yet, but just name your 8 guys you put in there.
I can name 7, and the 8th spot is the flip of a coin. It's probably going to come down to just how many baby faces and how many heels you have. But off the top of my head, it was easy to go with Reigns, Owens, Del Rio, Ryback, Ziggler, Ambrose, and then Cesaro. And then I don't even put Mr. Money in the Bank in there right now. But there's Sheamus, Neville, and Barrett as my wild cards for the last spot.
Okay, let me see if I can catch up to you here. You said Reigns, Owens, Del Rio, Ziggler, Cesaro.
Ryback,
Ryback,
Ambrose,
Ambrose. Okay.
and then the wild card for the last spot is Neville, Barrett, and Sheamus.
Neville, Barrett, Sheamus. Okay, interesting. So with that, I know it's no Bray Wyatt. So you assume because he's already in that program with the Undertaker and Kane, so there's no chance he's going to be.
I don't think they can blow that off. They've done too much stuff to work that, but I think of everything that's been talked about. I mean, they even talked about the fact on SportsCenter that Rollins got injured fighting Kane. It sort of like exposes their horrible storyline they have going on right
now. All right, so that 8th spot, if it's up to you, who are you putting in there? Just if you pick one guy.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think it has to go to a heel. So I guess I would just put Sheamus in there, just because he is a higher profile guy than Barrett is, I guess.
Do you know why I support Sheamus being in there? Now, I'm not saying let's put Sheamus in there. I actually like Sheamus. It may surprise a lot of people. I actually like Sheamus, but
I'm just gonna go with the fact that he's a former champion.
Well, I'm gonna go with the fact that does a Money in the Bank winner or current holder get exempt from the Royal Rumble? No, they still have. If they have a chance to headline WrestleMania while they're Money in the Bank, Mr. Money in the Bank, then why should they be excluded from this tournament? I call double standard that way. So for that reason, I think Sheamus would have to be in there. I mean, could they throw Barrett a bone? Of course they can, but come on, man. Like, you can't be, you can't treat a guy like trash and then expect him to be in the list of these other guys that are more worthy of him, and then say, oh well, Barrett's a suitable and viable contender. No, it doesn't work that way. Neville, I love the guy, but no, they can't put him in there. I think I would go with all the other 7 guys that you mentioned. I mean, I want to reach and say, let's put one guy in there that to give them a shot and see what they do. And I mean, to me, if I could take one out, I mean, I know I just said I just agree with your 7, but I would probably take out Ryback, maybe put in Big E. The only problem with that is I know they do the Freebird rule when they defend the tag titles. So are they gonna have what's his name, defend the titles, or is the New Day even going to be in another Survivor Series or traditional term matchup? I don't know. That's probably the only change I would do.
I would guess they're going to do New Day versus the Usos, with the Usos returning, and the Dudleys nowhere being on television on Raw or SmackDown. I'm guessing that's the direction that they're going in.
Yeah. I watched Raw this past Monday, and then don't ask why, but I literally, my head just hit the pillow, and I was like, wait a minute, there was no Dudley Boys on SmackDown or on Raw. I was like, wow, that sucks. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, if we're gonna be, the most, before we jump into our, what ifs, I think just realistically, if I had to bet money of which 8 guys are gonna end up here, I would say it's your 7, and then I'll throw in Sheamus in there. Now, there's some guys that people throw around as at least these past 12 hours or so that they would like to see in this tournament. I know that who knows what's going on with Daniel Bryan right now, man. It's like a he said she said kind of deal right now. But if you are WWE Breach, now we talked about this before in Skype calls, and you've talked about it in your videos. If they bring back Daniel Bryan, they need him. We don't deny that, but are they going to just be setting themselves up in the same situation that they were in this past year, earlier this year, when they brought him in the Rumble, just in time for Mania, only to get everyone to turn on Reigns? Don't you think it's kind of counterproductive if they're really going to be behind Reigns to bring back Daniel Bryan right now?
I think that, honestly, when I think about this, I know I wanted Bryan to get a shot at 31 because he never lost the title, but Bryan's been out so long, how can you honestly say that you want this guy to be a number 1 contender? I don't see Bryan ruining their plans as he did in years past, honestly. I think that he comes back, people are glad to see him, but I don't think he's a guy that people are going to be wanting to see in the main event of WrestleMania again.
I don't know, Breach. Well, Main event, I don't know about that. Just because I think this year, since it's going to be the biggest WrestleMania of all time, I don't. This may be a stretch, but I want to give the marks, and I'll put myself in that situation because at least I feel this way. This year was different. This year was it was supposed to, it was, going into this mania, a lot of people, including myself, labeled it as a kind of filler mania, like just to get us to 32. So I think that's why it was like, well, if they're gonna give Daniel Bryan a chance to have his own singles match at Mania without some like asterisk behind it because a guy walked out, then this is the Mania he deserves it. But for 32, I personally, as a big Daniel Bryan fan, I'm not putting this expectation where he has to be in the main event. He has to even be in the WWE Championship match just because it's a huge WrestleMania. Like, just as far as the spectacle and the actual match card, there's no way I could expect him to headline this. It's too much. Like, he's not. The names that we throw around of possible matches, including Rock, Triple H, Austin, Lesnar, like, you can't be serious to put him over all these guys. As much as I love the guy, I don't expect, nor do I don't want to say I don't want him to because I would always want him to headline, but I am totally cool and I don't expect him to headline any of those guys. With that being said, I think that if you bring him, it is going to ruin their plans, Breach, because just him coming out on Raw, just him being in the ring is going to put that image in people's minds. Like, when Reigns comes out, you're in someone else's spot, dude. Whether it's Bryan, whether it's Cesaro, whether it's Owens, whether it's Daniel Bryan, it's just you're not. This is not your spot. I don't think Reigns is at the point where people have eased up on him to the point where, yeah, like, I'll take him as champion. I think there's still a big percentage of the crowd out there that would just prefer almost anyone except for Reigns. And I mean, I was at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view a couple weeks ago. That crowd loved when Bray Wyatt was kicking the shit out of Roman Reigns in the Hell in a Cell match. Like, it just, I don't know, man. I think if they bring back Daniel Bryan, it's the same thing again. It's the only difference is that, well, it's a lot earlier, so the fans are gonna have a lot more time to shit on Reigns.
I think that Bray Wyatt is instant death to anybody that they put him up against. He's killed Ambrose. He's killed Reigns. I think that Reigns was getting a lot of momentum coming out of WrestleMania, even by beating the Big Show in that last man standing match. It was almost like people forgave him for not winning the championship. Like I guess maybe losing his first time was enough for them to say, like, okay, go get it now. But then I think putting him against Bray Wyatt just took the wind out of his sails completely.
All right, so I mean, had to pause there, everyone, in case you didn't catch on to that. Yeah, I mean, what was it last year? 2014 Royal Rumble? Yeah, it was last year's Royal Rumble when Wyatt had that match with Daniel Bryan, and yeah, and Bryan lost that match. Like, that's when you thought, like, okay, there's absolutely no hope for Bryan going into Mania or having a high match on the card. And this is before Punk walked out, so no one even gave that a possibility. But yeah, it's pretty bad when you deal with Wyatt or when you feud with Wyatt. So Daniel Bryan's a name that people talk about as far as maybe putting him in the tournament. What about NXT guys, Breach? For me, I don't want Balor in here. I don't want Samoa Joe in here. I don't even know what the deal with Zayn is these days. I think, isn't he supposed to come back before Tommy? Or no, I have it backwards. My bad. Tommy's coming back before him, right?
I have no clue. I thought that people said that Sami Zayn would be coming back sooner than later now. I think it's because people thought he was going to be the mystery man at Hell in a Cell to fight Cena.
Yeah. I was one of those. Yeah, thought it was going to be him or Bryan, but yeah. But yeah, I especially Balor, dude. I want him. No part of this tournament. When he debuts, it's his own. It's his stage. He's not gonna just come in here and lose. Or even if Joe also shows up and distracts him, like, no, just keep him away from this tournament. He's gonna have his own moment, his own situation, storyline in place for him. Yeah, just keep him away from this tournament. Do you want any NXT guys to maybe be the 8th guy in there instead of Sheamus?
No, when I look at NXT, I think that everybody there. I think that Finn Balor has a day when he's going to debut.
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably the most ready guy to go. I don't think that Samoa Joe will ever be out of NXT. I think that he was signed just to be in NXT.
Really?
Yeah, so I think that everybody in NXT is staying in NXT for the foreseeable future.
That's a conversation we have to have for another day, because we're just gonna go after we're gonna go off the rails here. There's a name. Oh yeah, what about Rusev?
Rusev's out. He injured his bicep. He's going to be out for the next couple of months.
Okay, I did not know that. When did that come out?
That was last week, I believe. He hurt himself at SmackDown last week during the main event tapings.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty cool because he got injured and they had a ref stoppage, and so Rusev went like he was going to attack the doctor and chased him out of the thing. It was pretty good improvising from him.
Huh. Well, everybody, that shows you a prime example. When life gets in the way, I had no clue my boy Rusev got hurt. That sucks. I guess we'll see him at the Rumble then, right? You said 2 months?
Something like that. He doesn't have to have surgery. He just has to sit out for a while.
Okay. All right, so let's say they go with these 8 guys, Breech.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's start booking this shit here. Now, first, we'll go over the realistic, the odds-on favorite in your opinion, and then we'll go over how you would do it if you were running the show. So first, from those 8 guys, we'll have Sheamus be the, for sake of purposes, we'll have Sheamus be the 8th guy. Who wins this tournament?
I think that the easy guess is to say Reigns, because he was more likely going to win the championship, but knowing that I've watched WWE for so many years and this isn't a WrestleMania moment, I wouldn't be surprised if they just say, we're going to save this for something else and just put the belt on somebody else just to say they surprised everyone.
And because it's during downtime, right?
Yeah. But then again, like, everybody on this list seems like a wish. Like, I would love to see Owens as the champion. I think he's a guy that easily could be a guy that leads the charge for the company. I don't want to peg him as, like, he should be Stone Cold Steve Austin. But he does have that sort of likability as he is a heel, he is a bad guy, but he is portrayed as a real human being, that he has a family, and that's why he fights, and I think that's something that people could get behind. I would love it that they would just magically pick Cesaro and say, we're going to put the title on him. He's got a lot of fans. Let's see if he can lead the charge. But I honestly don't think it's going to happen.
Let's say Reigns wins. Is he walking out of it as a babyface or a heel?
See, like, I'm thinking if Reigns walks out as a heel, the only way he can do this if he like joins the Authority and joins Triple H. And that's such a played out, like, we've seen the same storyline in WWE easily for the last 2 years with Rollins doing the same thing that Orton did.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you really look at it, we've been looking at the same storyline in WWE since '97, since the screw job with Vince. They've just been trying to recreate this over and over and over again. I want to see them just go in a place where the Authority can sort of be heelish, but don't like have your guy. Like maybe try and help a guy, but like he's not really with them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Like Owens?
I don't see Reigns turning heel, though.
Like Owens?
I don't see why they would help him either.
Well, they don't have to help him. They don't have to be by his side, but look at all those pictures Triple H posts on Instagram of them, throwing up the click sign, and them, when Owens won the Intercontinental Championship, he was out. He took pictures back.
Point.
That's like his unofficial son. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I think that's they don't have to have Owens be as involved as Rollins and Orton have been in the past 2 years. They can just have him be kind of like, yeah, like we'll stay out of his way. We're cool with him being champion, and then every now and then they'll cross paths because they'll have to have backstage segments. But I think they could do that. With Reigns, you were saying, I get it. That is true. I'm not even going to dispute that. That if they do that with Reigns and have him turn heel, that is pretty much played out. Mm-hmm. Earlier, I put the thing on Twitter that I think a lot of people just come to mind is the 1998 Survivor Series outcome.
Wow, that show's so good.
I like to call it it's a Raw premium show. It's like Monday Night Raw but with an added hour. That's basically what that is. It's so much fun to watch though.
Like when I remember the feeling of when I watched that show that night, and I just was like, oh, I didn't see this coming at all. I just couldn't believe how like easy it was if you just were watching and just thinking about what was happening. Like as soon as Rock turned, you're like, oh my god! Like he was like handed the championship, and we didn't even see it coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so I can see that, and the only reason I'm contradicting myself and saying yes, it's a played out storyline, but I would still do it, is because if they are going to give this dude the belt and forget crowd reaction, forget, match quality, just see how he composes himself as a champion, how he is the guy, you know what I mean? Then at least test it when you don't have to have the crowd reaction be an obstacle. Because if you're gonna have this dude be the champion and he's gonna be a baby face, then we're gonna just look at him and be like, I mean, unless you just downright hate the guy, you're gonna feel sorry for him because you're like, man, like, is this really a fair shake at being champion? They keep shoving him down people's throats as a babyface, but he's not even loved at all. I think if they have him at least as a heel, he'll be a guinea pig, see how he have his first title run, and not have to worry about being liked because he's not supposed to be liked. You know what I mean? And if people start to like him, then, which is entirely possible because that's how wrestling fans are in 2015. Then fuck it. At least it's working. At least it's better than a complete flop. That's the only reason why I would be okay with him walking out as a heel. They could even do what I was saying with Owens. Have him just Triple H change his mind. I knew Seth couldn't hang in the big time. Blah blah blah. He was always a B plus. They could even throw that line for an irony and say that this is a guy, and they'll just stay out of his way, and that's that. They don't have to be as involved. But I mean, to me personally, if I was booking this shit, I would give it to a babyface, and I would give it to Cesaro. And here's why. First of all, you got the match quality covered. You're always going to get a great match from your champion. This is what I would do. And before anyone gets on my ass, and when I say this, hear me out. But I do not have him hold the championship past the Royal Rumble max. And that's max. I would probably even have him lose the championship a few weeks before the Royal Rumble. He would get his rematch at the Rumble, but then lose. This is why I would do it this way. You have the guy win the championship because it would be totally unexpected. He was starting to, do good. Had some matches with Cena and with Owens, and then boom, relegated back to the lower card of the show. So there's a surprise factor from that aspect. And you got the match quality. And here's what I would do: the minute he wins the championship, that's the minute the Authority wants it off him. This is not what they had in mind. This is a guy that, yeah, he's a nice little technical wrestler is what they can say, even though he's not little. But this is not the guy that we have in mind. We call the shots here. We pick the champion. You're not the champion we want. So every week on Raw, he defends a championship. Something that you at least cling on to Raw because you're going to know that you're going to get a damn good match. And one of our favorites, our internet darlings, is a champion. So you're going to want to tune in and not watch Monday Night Football at 9 p.m. or, so forth. And every week he defends a championship, and every week he beats a guy because the Authority cannot find a guy to beat him. And then, right there is, when it comes to the Royal Rumble, or preferably if I was, doing everything my way, I would have him lose probably 2 weeks before the Rumble and some stupid finish where you feel so bad for the guy because he finally worked hard for it. He beat like 7 guys in a row, but then he lost in a bullshit way, and then, he loses at the Rumble again. Right there, and you give it to the guy whoever's going to walk into Mania as champion, obviously. But that's what I would do because let me see. When is the Survivor Series? 20. Where is it at? Let me pull up a calendar here.
November 22nd.
Okay, so it's the 22nd. So let's say he defends a championship every week, Monday or just on Raw, not SmackDown, because no one watches SmackDown. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, 5, because I don't think they'll have him do it on the Christmas show. That's always a dead show for ratings. 6 would be January 4th. 7 would be January 11th, which would be, 20 days before the Rumble? So that's when I would have him lose it. January 11th. That's 7 straight championship matches, or actually 8 with TLC. I forgot TLC. So that's 8 championship matches in the 7 weeks. You're going to have great matches. You're going to have a reason to really look forward to Raw. I mean, if people got that pumped over the Cena U.S. Title Open Challenge, think of it this way. You know how they're so crazy with social media. Sunday night or Monday morning, they announced the guy that's going to face Cesaro, and you're like, all right, now we got to look Cesaro and Owens for the championship. All right, that's now I'm excited for Raw. Next week, Cesaro and Ziggler for the title, or and so forth. And I don't know. That's what I would do, Breech. I don't know what would you do if you're just calling the shots. Who do you have win and what?
The one thing to pick your thing apart that came to my mind immediately when you said that he would win the title and then he would hold it until Raw before the Rumble and then he would lose it was then what do you do with Cesaro at WrestleMania? You've pretty much put yourself into a corner where you have to do Cesaro versus maybe the Authority, like versus Triple H.
Yeah.
After that, or he's just going to be a guy who was just the champion, but now he's in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal because I don't see if you don't give him a championship rematch at WrestleMania where he could fall to. I mean, is he just going to be like a geek in the Intercontinental Ladder match again, or?
Well, there's a couple things here. Let's say they have a Money in the Bank ladder match, which is highly unlikely. But if they do, I'd put them there. If they don't, and then there's the whole Rock and Triple H thing. If Rock and Triple H are going to happen at Mania, then with Cesaro, I'd probably just have him be in a high-profile singles match. It doesn't have to be high-profile. Just give him an opponent that is not a complete geek. Who that would be? Don't know. If you have Sheamus, yeah, for the briefcase, that could work. However, if Rock would not to work Mania, then I'd have Triple H definitely face Cesaro and do a storyline where Cesaro keeps fucking with the Authority until he gets Triple H to want the match. Very similar to, but not exactly to what Daniel Bryan did to get the match out of Triple H. What was the other thing you mentioned? I think that was it. Yeah, so it won't be hard to plug him. Plus, at this point, he's gained a lot more credibility, so it's easier for him to be taken more serious when they put him in there in a good match. Or I mean, you can even have him face Del Rio. If Del Rio is going to still be the United States champion at leading into Mania, you can have him face Del Rio.
Del Rio, this just came to my mind a minute ago. I mean, he's already got the United States Championship on his side, but definitely Survivor Series is screwed. But this is going to be one of the big plugs is to see who's going to be the champion. But TLC, one of the leading things is going to be Del Rio versus Cena. That's really going to be pushed as your main event of seeing Cena return and can he win it
in Boston, I might add.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what if Del Rio wins this? And I don't know what that means to the United States title. But it definitely would mean Del Rio versus Cena at TLC really means something. Like
for both titles.
That could be your main event. And I mean, like with only Reigns and Ambrose and Ryback and Ziggler as your main guys, Del Rio versus Cena could be one hell of a main event for TLC.
I would only do that if you have, of course, Del Rio would have 2 championships. Have it be a triple threat match, and then one fall for each title. And then that way, Del Rio doesn't have to take 2 pinfalls. But you brought up Cena, Breech. What if Cena comes back and enters this tournament and basically cockblocks a guy out of this tournament?
I think that like some people might honestly think that Cena would be mad that he wouldn't be able to do his reality TV show, and maybe having to have Mondays and Tuesdays off from his show might screw up the schedule. But if anybody's going to understand, it's going to be John Cena. And I think that if I wouldn't even be surprised if John Cena expected something like this to happen, for them to call him and be like, "We need you to come back," because Cena's just always been that guy. I mean, the guy, he's been injured, and it seems that he always comes back from his injury in like half the time he's expected to, because he doesn't want to lose that spot. He doesn't. Cena knows what butters his bread. I mean, like, Cena knows that WWE is the biggest paycheck that he could have, and I don't know when he's going to tie Ric Flair's record, but for him to come
so
back,
he's tying it for sure.
What?
So he's tying it for sure.
Well, I mean, like, for him to come back at TLC and to be able to fight Del Rio and have that for the championship, I mean, that's a pretty big place to tie the record.
Well, here's my problem with that. To me, if you're going to have him, tie the record, he's got to have a long reign. Maybe not super long, not a year-long reign, but a super long reign. And the guy who beats him, it's kind of like the guy that, that ended up getting to beat to end Taker's streak. He had to benefit off of that and keep going off that, which is what Lesnar did. Ended up winning the title later that year. And if you have Cena win, if they're going to do what I would think and what I would want him to do, you got to go into Mania with him as champion. He has to walk out of Mania as champion. You'd probably, if it was basically up to me, he wouldn't lose it until Money in the Bank or SummerSlam. And I don't want that. Unless you're cool with him winning the championship and then losing it in a couple of months. But then at that point, it's like, well, why did he win number 16 if, it was going to be another throwaway reign? Unless you haven't won 17, I don't know. Would you?
I don't think that I would be surprised if Cena has to be the main event at WrestleMania. I mean, like, this, everybody keeps calling WrestleMania 32 the biggest WrestleMania of all time, and I just think it's been one heartbreak after another. I wouldn't be surprised if they have to have a John Cena match in one of the main
versus who
matches.
Versus who? Like, if you're talking about him closing out the show?
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know, man. Like, everybody said WrestleMania, Stone Cold's gonna come back. Oh, well, Shawn Michaels is gonna come back, and there's been one heartbreak after another. I'm at this point right now where I wouldn't even be surprised if The Rock doesn't have a match.
Yeah, I want to say I'm 51% yes, he's there, 49 no. I'm like really like I'm just like right there, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm not going to be surprised at all if he doesn't work Mania. But I don't know, man. I mean, I'm just saying if I'm running the show, I have Cesaro win. And again, if it doesn't work out, if Cesaro was just, dare I say, a guy that's not meant to be WWE champion, at least they tried. At least they can say they gave him a shot. And at least it would be in a time where the ratings are going to suck anyways because Monday Night Football's on and, people want to watch football instead of... I mean, I'll give him credit because Raw's actually been pretty good the past couple of weeks. And but for the most part, Raw's a throwaway show these days. You can skim through it. You can listen to a podcast, a review. You can watch someone's YouTube video in 10 minutes breaking it down. And you're good. And then just watch the pay-per-views, It's so I think if, like I said, if a guy like Cesaro, if a guy like even Ambrose, we didn't mention Ambrose. If Ambrose were to win the title, this is the time of year where they should get a shot. I mean, remember Ziggler when he was feuding with Edge? What was it? 2011?
Yeah.
It was around the Royal Rumble because it was leading to the Royal Rumble right before the good season started. They threw him a bone and it worked out great because I think it gave him a confidence boost. I don't know. It made him feel important and he put on a good match with a good couple of matches actually with Edge. So and I think it could just do wonders. I mean, these guys work their asses off. I know with the injuries that have been happening with Orton and Rollins, and I know some people think that these guys have a really work a really big workload of a schedule, and I mean, come on, man. I just think they owe it to one of these guys. Just give them a chance. But I'm not sure if we got your pick, Breech. If you like just a guy that you would throw a bone to, because I know you said Reigns would be the odds-on favorite. But if you're gonna take a gamble and let's see what a guy's got as WWE champion, who do you give it to?
I I think Owens. I really think that Owens is a guy that the fans could get behind if they believe that WWE really is behind him. I think that right now people like him, but I think that definitely if they put the right storylines into what he's doing, I think this is a guy that people really could love, and he could be the guy to carry us to a next generation.
It's really funny because this partnership that Vince McMahon has right now with Gabe Sapolsky, who's running Evolve in Florida, or at least basically based off of Florida. It would be really cool if Owens wins the championship and he makes like these like Owens as champion pit stops, and they have a WWE camera follow him to Evolve, and he just crashes a show. Maybe during the opening match when there's two jobbers just going at it, he just lays both of the jobbers out and says, "You know what? I'm WWE champion, and I've been here, blah blah blah." And then he cuts a promo, and then he walks out. And he shows up at NXT, does almost the same thing. Maybe he beats up, what are those dudes called? Raleigh and Zack Ryder. What's that team called?
Hype Bros.
Yeah, Hype Bros. He shows up on NXT and he beats those dudes up, and then it's like, hey, I've been here, done that. Look where I'm at now. I got this around my waist. And then maybe Balor comes out, and Balor's like, well, I've beaten you before. When am I going to get the chance for that? And then you have a teaser for when Balor comes up to the main roster. That would be pretty cool if they did that, but obviously they can't do that with Ring of Honor, but that would be pretty cool if they did that. But I would totally. To me, it's either Cesaro or Owens. I don't have a problem with that either. And quite frankly, Owens is a more logical guy to put as champion. Just from the storyline I pitched earlier, it's pretty easy. The creative doesn't have to do much, and they're used to doing that anyway. So, but yeah, we'll see what's up, Breech. I mean, I was already pretty excited for Survivor Season, I'm not going to lie, just because of those two matches we were going to get between, Rollins and Reigns, which is, I guess, a match that we're never going to get, because weren't we going to get that at Hell in a Cell last year?
I don't remember what show it was, but he had the ruptured hernia, and then Ambrose had to come and take the taxi and beat up Rollins.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think we're meant to get that match. I was excited for that, and even the 10-man tag with Undertaker and Kane. I'm not expecting a 5-star classic here, but it would have been fun for what it was. But hey, I'm not even more excited now because this is going to be a very I don't want to say mysterious, but just a captivating show. You're going to pay attention to every match, and to me, with this kind of tournament especially, I'm going to pay attention to how each guy comes out of the match, because I'm not expecting Cesaro to win, but who knows? Maybe he gets a nice rub off this match, and maybe they do something with him after this. But well, maybe they won't. But any final thoughts, Breech, before we wrap it up?
I'm trying to think now. Like you have to have 7 matches to have the tournament. You've got the Divas match. You've got your tag match, and then you've got
10-man tag.
Yeah, the Undertaker one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 10 matches. 10 matches on one pay-per-view. I don't think there's any way they're doing any more than an 8-man tournament. That seems like a lot, even for 3 hours. But I don't want to get us going way off on the thing, but how do you have a 10-man tag with Undertaker and Kane? Who are your 3 guys that you're filling in your tag match with?
Well, I look at this kind of the way that they filmed, or they built the Undertaker's team at Survivor Series 95. Mm-hmm. You're probably wondering who the hell was on that team. Let me remind you, Breech. It was the Undertaker, of course. He led the team. It was against King Mabel's team, in case anyone's listening. It rings a bell. His team had Fatu, it had Henry Godwin, and oh crap, what were the other 2 guys?
I feel bad for this team already.
Let me see. I gotta look it up because I really gotta mention all 5 guys to make my point. Let's see. 5 guys. Here we go. Undertaker, Savio Vega, Fatu, and Henry Godwin. It was 4 guys actually, not 5, but still.
How did he win this?
Well, because the Undertaker eliminated basically everybody. That's when he came back with the Phantom of the Opera mask. So, my point is, if they gave these guys, and I know this is 95, completely different time in wrestling. I get that. I'm not stupid. But with the 8-man tournament already taking up a lot of the big guys, especially a notable babyface like a Dean Ambrose that would have been perfect for this team, I think you throw guys a bone, and I think Taker probably even goes to Vince and says, "I want this kid. I want this kid. I want the, you know." I'd throw in there Neville. Who else would we put in there? It has to be a fun match because you got to remember, Taker's team has to have some other guys that are going to carry more of the workload. Taker's not going to be in there that long. Kane is not exactly Mr. Technical Wrestling, so they got to have some fun guys in there to add some excitement to this match. Because then on the opposite end, you got fucking Braun Strowman, who is like a statue. So I think I'd throw in there Neville. Is this a 10-man or 8-man tag? I just noticed I kept calling
There's
it.
only 4 members of the Wyatts.
Yeah, so it's 8-man. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I kept calling it 10-man for some reason. Let's see. Who else would you put in there? I'm going through the roster right now. If Cesaro's not in the tournament, then obviously Cesaro. That's a given. If not, oh man, who do they have that could put in there? No, not R-Truth. I honestly don't know, Breach. I just went through their entire roster, active roster.
People who, like, they were saying that they thought that like Sting might have been able to be on this team, but I don't think Sting's ever gonna wrestle again.
Well, I don't know about ever, but no, not now. No, I don't think he's gonna. Is Mark Henry a face? The last time we saw him.
Yeah, he got beat by Owens.
Okay, then I guess him. I don't know who else, unless they call up a guy from NXT. And again, no, I wouldn't want that. But I'm trying to think, who from NXT is that besides Balor and or what's his name? Balor and Joe. Cruz? I could have Apollo Cruz.
He ain't getting on the team.
I'd be okay with them, though. I mean, if it was a one-night thing, yeah, I'd like that. If not, then I have no clue. I have no clue because a lot of guys are hurt, and yeah. But yeah, we'll see, Breach. We'll see. But yeah, that's pretty much gonna do it for us. I'll probably be back next year. Breach will have plenty of videos. If for some reason you live under a rock and you don't know who Stevie Breach is, then just go down to the I can't even believe I'm plugging you. Like, if you need it. If anyone doesn't know, if anyone just randomly searched this, YouTube searched this, or came across this podcast or whatever, yeah, Stevie Breach's YouTube channel, he uploads like 1 million videos a day, so you're going to get a lot of content from his channel. So, that'll do it for us. Catch you guys later.